Welcome to More Noble Podcast. No cards, no gifts, no handover. This is the devastating aftermath of an unthinkable family betrayal, the deliberate stripping away of identity, title, and connection, where each wedding guest became a victim. Here is the shocking trespass that sets the stage for everything to come. Imagine a day soaked in joy. We're at a wedding reception in the garden of the parents' home. The speeches are done. The cake is cut. Everyone's having a really great time. In the lounge room, there's a small mountain of gifts. We're talking about silver paper, white ribbons, heavy boxes, envelopes thick with cards. They rise in a glittering heap, perhaps 100 gifts, each one the result of a real decision. Friends, family, and neighbors have chosen to take their own goods, their own money, the fruit of their labor, and place it here to celebrate this new beginning. Each parcel carries a quiet promise, something useful for the kitchen, something beautiful for the home, something thoughtful for the years ahead. Piled up, they become the tangible weight of a community's joy, waiting for the couple to unwrap. It's more than wrapping paper, ribbons, and cards. It's a mountain built out of well wishes, each parcel a piece of someone's heart, their time, and anticipation for the couple's future. A transfer of wealth, of hope, of expectation and love. Fast forward 2 months. The bride and groom go to collect those gifts to start their new life. They're ready to sit down and write their thank you notes. But every trace of identity has been stripped away. No wrapping, no ribbons, no packaging, no cards, an anonymous soulless pile, as if someone had deliberately erased the love that once wrapped each gift. No identification, no evidence of title, nothing to claim as their own. It is at this point the gifts and cards are considered stolen, not by a stranger, but by the very hands entrusted to protect them. Usually, when we hear a story like this, our minds immediately jump to a targeted theft. We picture a burglar slipping in the back door, stealing a title deed or bonds, cash, checks, even jewelry. We think theft in the traditional sense. But what follows is a shocking series of events that paint a picture infinitely more astounding, and honestly, psychologically, darker than a break-in. This isn't speculation or paranoia on the bride's part. This is crucial to understand. We're not dealing with a he said, she said situation regarding the physical actions taken. The parents admitted to taking possession of the gifts. They admitted that without consent, direction, or authority, they opened 100 gifts not wrapped for them. Yes, every single one of them. They trespassed on each guest's property. Let's pause on that image. It's staggering. Unwrapping 100 gifts. We need to visualize to understand the gravity of it. Unwrapping a lot of presents at once is a massive job. It's actual physical labor. It takes a lot of time. You pick up the box, find the edge of the sticky tape, carefully slice the tape. You unwrap and fold up the paper. You deal with the cardboard, the styrofoam, and those awful plastic ties that hold the appliances in place. Sadly, it doesn't stop there. The parents admitted they opened the cards, reading private, heartfelt messages meant only for the couple, and wrote on them. Did you catch that? They wrote on the cards. They actually defaced what was not theirs to claim. That implies a deliberate action. Picture it. The parents are there in private, without the bride and groom present, and crucially, without the guest's consent. They're methodically unwrapping each loving free will gift. They're reading the most intimate messages from family, friends, and neighbors. They're writing on the cards and then hiding every trace. To this day, the bride and groom have not seen the beautiful wrapping paper, chosen so carefully by friends and family, bows they've not admired, ribbons they've not untied, packaging that once held their future, not handled, and worst of all, the cards, those precious, personal notes from the people who love them most, they have not seen nor read a single one. By unwrapping and removing the cards and packaging, the parents erase the identity, severing the connection between each guest and their gift. Here's the kicker. Here's the part that makes my brain hurt. They admitted to all of that labor. They spent hours unwrapping, reading, writing, and erasing every connection. And yet the parents claim they did nothing wrong. But we know that actively removing the evidence of the gifts is not a mistake. It feels like a gut punch, the deliberate erasure of love itself. When the packaging and cards vanish, the personal connection vanishes with them. This isn't just negligence. It carries the cold sting of something far more intentional and far crueler, and that cuts very deep. It is not acceptable, physically nor logically acceptable. And this brings us to the core of the bride's argument. She argues that as the gifts have not been transferred to the bride and groom, lawful title has not passed from the guests to the couple. Ownership never changed hands. Therefore, the gifts must be returned to the lawful owners, and the lawful owners are the guests. This completely reframes the bride's anger and her grief, because the parents didn't just steal from their own daughter. They stole from an entire community, from the grandmother who gave with trembling hands, from the old schoolmate who poured love into a card. This is huge. It creates a massive class of victims, 100 separate, distinct victims. The parents are, or were, in possession of property that's not theirs. It's the neighbor's property, entrusted to them in good faith. Think about the absolute information gap here. The guests have no idea their property is stolen. Presumably, believing their gifts are cherished in the couple's home, they sit by their letterboxes waiting for a thank you note that never arrives. It's impossible to imagine the hurt they must be suffering. I mean, how do you even begin to explain the unexplainable? It's like waking up in a room where the floor is suddenly the ceiling. Your brain is screaming for logic, searching for a reason that makes sense, but there isn't one. The guests completed their part. They entrusted their gifts to the parents for safekeeping and delivery to the bride and groom. That delivery never took place. From the guest's perspective, the transaction was never completed. Which brings us back to the bride. The bride is uniquely positioned to connect the admitted actions with the chain of custody. To confront the stark reality, only the parents know what happened to the gifts and cards. The bride sees it with unflinching clarity. The guests remain the absolute owners of those gifts and cards, treasures given in sacred trust for safekeeping and transfer. She knows the handover never occurred. She knows the trust has been shattered. She knows the property must be returned to its lawful owners, the guests themselves. The bride has a strict duty. She's a witness to the theft. If the bride stays silent, she's complicit in the theft of her guest's property. By writing these letters as their representative, she's upholding the lawful claim of the victims. Think of it like a massive community class action lawsuit. The bride is standing up for the grandmother and the old school mate. She's telling her parents, you didn't only hurt me and my husband, you harmed the guests. You're lawfully liable to them. Yes, it has all the hallmarks of a domestic dispute, but in reality, it's a necessary move to protect the property of the lawful owners. It elevates the entire conflict. Thanks for listening to More Noble Podcast.